Hi everyone, Emma here. I'm so excited to show you how to make this lovely heart bracelet. So we're going to do a few things. I'm going to show you how to do the pattern. Now this pattern repeats itself, but it also is somewhat on the other side. It's not exactly, because if you know, a heart has a midpoint and then beads on either side. So it ends up being an uneven number. And our number for the tubular chenille starts with 8 beads. So you're going to have opposite, like it looks like it's exactly opposite, but not quite. But I have an idea on how to make sure your heart ends up in the same place each time. So I'll show you that when we get going. So what we're going to need, oh, and we're going to do something different for the end. So I'll show you. I've done one side already, and I'll show you how to do the other side. This here is a hook and eye crimp cover. So it's a clasp. One side has just the crimp cover, and the other side has a loop, and then the other side has the hook part with the crimp. So we're going to use some 8/0 seed beads for that, but when we get to it, we'll do that at the very end. And something that I'm doing different is I'm using size 15/0 seed beads for the beads that go in between the other main color beads. So that's a little different. Normally you would use the same size beads. So here's an example I did using the same size beads. And you can see what happens is it's the colored beads get spread out a bit. You can still see the pattern, so you can go ahead and try that on your own and do it as well. But I thought it would be interesting to use 15/0 seed beads to see if we could get this a little more compacted. And let me show you how that turned out. So this is the one with the 15/0 seed beads, these gold beads, and it made it look like beaded crochet. Pretty amazing how nice and small it is. Super simple to do, but look at the difference in the size. So if you want something bigger, you definitely use the bigger beads. It looks a bit awkward here. It always does at the beginning until you get going and it really starts to get a nice tubular shape. So either way, definitely a lot nicer with the 15/0 seed beads. So let's get started. I do have the pattern written out for you. So if you want to go ahead and take a screenshot, you can do that. And just to get started, we're going to do, so this pattern deals with the colored beads only. It doesn't deal with the 15/0 seed beads. So when I say row 1, I mean row 1 of this pattern. So we're going to follow this pattern along. Now, once you have your first color in there, it's pretty easy because you're always going to have a midpoint right here. And you're going to have beads on either side of those like that. So, but we'll get more into that as we go. So you're going to need 2 colors of 11/0. I'm using some 11/0 white with a white luster on it. And then I'm using these beautiful Terra intensive matte red color for that. This one here, I actually used a matte white in the Terra intensive matte rose. So this is what you get with this one. And I thought we'd use the shiny white for that. You're going to need a size 12 needle. You can do it with a size 10 or 11. It's definitely easier with a size 12. So especially once we're using these teeny tiny 15/0 seed beads. And you're going to need your scissors, of course. And you're going to need some thread. I'm using the John Bead good thread, and this works really well with 15/0s as well. So let me move that out of the way. so they don't get hooked. So let's get started. I'm going to tilt the camera a bit, like that. And I think I'll just enlarge it a tick. Let's move these guys up. There. So you're going to take a wingspan of thread. I don't, just for the video sake, but definitely a wingspan. So you're going to pick up 8 beads of the white, and that would be this row here. So there's 5, 6, 7, 8. Bring this down. You're going to leave a bit of a tail so that you have some thread to hang on to. It's really hard to get this tubular chenille started just because there's nowhere to hang on to. So that's why I add that. And you can always weave it in, or you could use it for your clasp. And go back up through the first one. Let me put this in here like that, just to complete the loop. That, and pull that. There we go. Now it doesn't have to be tight. I'm just gonna, so now you see how I can hang on to it with the thread. So now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put a 15-0 in between the beads, and we're gonna space it out 2 beads at a time. So we're gonna go, we've got our 15-0, we're gonna put the bead in here, and we're gonna pass through 2 11-0s like this. Grab your next 15, go through 2 11-0s like that. Another 15-0, pass through 2 11-0s. That, and then our final one for this row. So we're going to go through these 2 white beads, but we're also going to go through the 15-0, the gold 15-0. It's basically a step up. That. Okay. So now we are going to start our pattern. Just try and do this so you can see everything I'm doing here. So we're going to go from the 15-0 to the 15-0. We're going to add 2 beads in between each of them. So if we look at our pattern, here's the second row of the colored beads. There's 1, 2, 3. So we can do our first 2 are going to be white. So pick up 2 white 11-0s. Go from the 15-0 here, and I think I need to enlarge this, still looks pretty small, to the next 15-0. Like that. Bring that through. And there we go. There, so you can see the pattern. Okay, so now we're going to count. So we've got our first 2. So we need a white and a pink or red. So pick up 1 white, 1 red. Go from the 1 15-0 to the next 15-0. That. And they do sit kind of flat like that. When we go to add the next 15-0s, they will get pulled in. So now there's nothing here, so it's all white on this side of the heart. So pick up 2 white, go through the next 15-0. That. And we're going to add our, let me see what I did. Yeah, I alternate it. I was just looking to see if I did one on each side, but I didn't. There's so many options. Just never mind. Get your next two 11-0s. You're coming out of that 15-0. We're going to go into this one, but we're going to go through this first white 11-0 so that we can get ready for our 15-0s. Like that. And you can kind of nudge those guys up now and pull it tight. Not a big deal. Okay, so now we're going to go around and do 15-0s in between these sets of two beads. So we're going to go through this one. We're going to grab the next, and we're going to skip that 11-0 or that 15-0 gold bead. Grab a 15-0. We're going to go through between these two. We're going to go and grab the next one. Sorry. I'm going to tilt the camera so I don't go at a screen. There. That, and I'm going to make sure this is in focus. There. Okay, 15-0. So this part is pretty simple. You're always putting 15-0s in between the sets of 11-0 seed beads. So you go through this one here and grab the next one. And they're going to cinch those together when we pull it, like that. 15-0. Now we're going to go through the next 11-0, but we're also going to step up into that 15-0. Now we're going to continue with the pattern. Okay, so if you look at the pattern, we are now on row 3. I always use the first bead as my center bead to kind of know what I'm doing. So you're always going to have a bead on either side of that. So if you look at where we are here, we need to add 2 beads here. But there's our center. So we only need 1 colored bead on the side. So we're going to pick up a white and then a red, our next 2, and go through the 15-0 like that. Not sure what that's hooked on, but there, like that. Let me see if I can show you. Okay, so now we're going to be putting a bead above that center bead and 1 next to it. So we need 2 beads here of the red. 2 beads. Go through the next 15-0. You can see the pattern starting to come together. Now, you don't have to worry, the rest is all white till we get to the next row. So we're going from this 15 to that 15. Pick up 2 white. You're going to go from the 115 to the next 15, but we're also going to go on an angle so we can step up to the next row and just go through that first 11-0 like that. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and add our 15s all around. So 15-0 in between these 2 beads. So you're going to scoop up the next bead. Another 15-0. Let me see if I can show it to you this way. Okay, so we're going to put a 15-0 in between these 2 beads, but we need to pick up 2 11-0s. So we're going to go through the red and through the very next white. and that'll set us up for the next 15. That. So now I'm going to hold it this way. Pick up a 15, grab that bead and the next one. 15-0. Grab this bead, the next one, the 11-0, and we're going to go through the 15-0 so we can continue with our pattern. I initially thought I made a mistake, but we're good. Okay, so now let's take a look at our pattern. We are now on this row here. So we need to put a bead. If we go up from this one, there's going to be a bead next to it. So one out always. But that's going to be on the end of the pattern. So right now we're going to add 2 red. So we're actually right here on the pattern. So we're going to add 2 red, 2 red, and then we'll be adding a white. Let me see, 7. We're going to be adding 2 whites and then a white and a red. TMI, right? We'll get to it. So pick up 2 red, go from this 15 to this 15. That. We're going to pick up 2 red. So if you look at the pattern below, you have 1 red bead there and then a white, but we're always, because we're building on an angle, you're going to need 2 red beads, just like 1 red bead over from the previous row to create the heart shape. So you can see it's starting to come along. Okay, so now 2 white. There's the 15, go to the next 15. Now remember we said we needed a red bead here, so we're going to pick up a white bead and a red bead. And if you look at the pattern, that's the white. Oh, let's move it over for you. So we are on row 4, so you need a white and a red. Now you're going to go through, coming out of this 15, you're going to go through this 15, but you're going to go through this 11-0 here because that's our step up for the next row. So go through the 15 and through the first bead, and there's your white and your red. And let's just move this over so it doesn't get twisted. There. We're almost there. If this part is confusing, let me know. I'll try and do it with larger beads, or I can redo it and make sure my hand position. Sometimes it's hard for me. This is my first time doing it. Now, I have to say I actually did a couple of videos before this and had to totally change everything because I felt it was too hard to see what was going on. So now we're at our 15s. So pick up a 15, go between those 2 beads, but make sure you pass through the next 2, like that. 15, and pass through the next 2. Another 15, pass through the next 2 beads. Wrap a 15, pass through these 2 beads, and then go on an angle and bring your needle through the next 15, like that. Okay, let's take a look at what we have. So we're almost there. So now let's look at row 5. You have 2 beads. So this one's easy. There's 2 beads, 2 red beads above the first 2. Then you're going to have a white bead and then 2 beads. So I'll just move this over. Okay, now our thread's coming out of here. So we know we're going to have 2 red here. We're going to be the same. Oh, no, sorry. This is where we're going to put our white, if you look. So here's another way to know where you're putting your white bead, is look at where your first bead is and line it up. Because your thread is going to be coming out at different spots all the way along as you go. It keeps going offset by 1 all the way up. So this one is going to be white. There's your main bead, your center bead. So this one needs to be white. So there's the center, there's the white. So we are going to do 1 white, 1 red. And we're coming out of this 15. We're going to go through the next 15. Like that. Now you can follow exactly what's on there. So we need a red and a white. So let's grab a red 11-0 and a white 11-0 and go through the next 15. Like that. Now we need 2 white beads, 2 white 11-0s. Go through the next 15. That. And we need 2 red 11-0s. We're going to go through this 15, but we're going to angle our needle and come up through there, through the 11-0, so we can put our 15-0s in there. Pull that tight. So there is your heart. You'll see the heart better. We're going to put a white row in there, but we'll start with our 15 here. So we have a 15, scoop up the next 2 beads. Another 15, go through the next 2 beads. 15, through the next 2 beads. That's kind of wonky. There we go. Another 15. So now we're going to go through the 2 beads, but we're going to angle it so it goes through the 15-0 to set us up for the next row. And we're just going to do straight up white beads across. So if you look at my pattern, I always put 1 up here. I counted up to 8. You don't really have to count up to 8 this way, because then we're going to start moving things around. So, and we're just basically going to go to the other side. So let's start with our white row. Pick up 2 white 11-0s. You're coming out of this 15-0. We're going to pass through the next one. Pick up 2 11-0 white. Go through the next 15-0. 2 11-0 white. Go through the next 15-0. Pick up 2 11-0 white. Go through the next 15-0, but on an angle, and pass through your first white bead. And you can pull that tight now. You can kind of see the heart shape. Ta-da! So now we're going to put a row of 15s in here. So grab your first 15. You're going to set them in between the 2 sets that are together. So you're always going to pick up the next one. So you're ready to put the next 15 in between. So you're basically alternating the beads. That's what's holding them together. It's magic. Ta-da. So then make sure you go through your 15-0 so you're ready for the step up row. Now you can decide, do I want to keep doing the heart the same way, or do I want to turn it to the other side? And I think I turned it to the other side for the other one, and it looked really good. So what you're going to do is you're going to decide it's not quite even, because if you look here, there's your heart is on your 4th row, but you have 2 rows on this side that are empty and 1 on this side. So the placement, and the reason that is, it's not an even number, yet our beads are even numbers. So that's why it falls that way. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to turn and decide where I want to put the next one. So there's the white. I think we're going to put the next one right here. So we're going to do 2 whites and then a red, and then we'll be set up for our next pattern of our heart pattern. So 2 white. You can put it wherever you want. So there's, double check to see if that's where I want it. No, you don't. Well, you can see the sides here. So there's actually 1, 2, 3. So I think this one's the best one to put it. So once we have this one single bead, then we can build our heart upward. So we need a white beside it. That. Then 2 whites. So we'll build the next heart so you can see what I'm talking about. And then from there, I'll show you how to put a clasp on. So let's go through the 15-0, but go through the first 11-0 that we added. Like that. We need a row of 15-0s. So just set those in between. That. 15-0. That. Another 15-0. And a 15-0. Now we're going to go on an angle and go through the next 15-0, or the first 15-0 that we added there. So now we need to build our heart. So the second row of the heart has a red one over from the main one that we just started. So we're going to take 2 red. So 2 red, like that. So there's going to be a red here and a red here. So I'm going to go through the 15-0 there. Now we want 1 red on this side and a white. Go through the next 15-0. So you can see it's starting to, then 2 white. And 2 white. That. Go through the 15-0 on an angle so we can go through that red bead. Now we're set up to add our 15-0s through these guys. That. Another 15. So we're just going through the 11-0 beads from the previous row, ignoring those lower 15-0s. And now we're going to bring our needle through the 15-0 after we've passed through the 2 11-0s, like that. Okay. So now we're going to work on our pattern again. So our next row, this is, so you see the 3 beads there? That's these 3 beads. So now we need a bead on either side plus the 3 beads. So because our needle is over here, we're going to work on this side of the heart. And when we come back around, we'll make sure we add 2 red beads here. So let's get that in there. I'm going to pull this out a bit. 2 red. Go through the next 15 oh. We need to go 1 bead over from the pattern from the previous row. So we need 1 red and 1 white. Go through the next 15 oh like that. Pick up 2 white beads of the 11 ohs. And for here, we want to put a red bead above this one here, but we also want to go 1 over. So we need 2 red 11 ohs. That. We're going to go on an angle so we can add our row of 15s. Pick up 1 15 oh, go through the next 2 beads, 1 15 oh, go through the next 2 beads, 1 15 oh, go through the next 2 beads, 1 15 oh, and we're going to angle so we come out of the first 15 oh that we added on that row. So now we want to finish up our heart. So we have 2 beads on the edge. This one here is going to be white that we're going to add, but we'll get to that when we come around. So we'll start with 2. That first bead looks a bit small. 2 11 ohs coming out of this 15, go through this one. The back is white, so we're going to do white. We're going to do the same as what's on these 2 here. So we're going to do a white and a red. And we need that white bead of the heart. You see it separates the sides of the heart. So that's this one here. So we're going to do a red and a white. That. We're going to go through the 15 and through the first 11 oh that we added. And there's the other side of the heart on the other side, like that. Let's do a row of 15 ohs, and then we'll do a row of white, and you'll see the pattern a little better. So 15 oh, go through 2 beads, 15 oh, 2 beads, 15 oh, go through 2 beads, 15 oh, go through the 2 11 ohs, and then through the first 15 you added on that row. Okay, and let's go ahead and do a row of white to kind of separate the 2 patterns. So we're just going to add 2 whites, go to the next 15, 2 white, go to the next 15, 2 white, 11 ohs, that, 2 white, go through the 15, and then go through the first 11 oh, and we're going to add a row of 15, and then we'll move on to the clasp. So you just continue this design all the way up to the length that you want. And we will end here for now. Like that. So there's your hearts. That's lovely. That's how easy it is. So let me know if you try this and if you have any recommendations to give more definition to your pattern. I kind of like that it's at a distance you see what it is, but yeah, I think it looks great. So let's go to the one that I finished. So I did notice this one's a little looser. I don't know if as I'm working, I'm getting tighter. I think you know what? I think I loosen as I go along. So I'm sure, everybody has their issues around tension. So we're going to need our 15 O's to begin with. And we're going to need some gold beads. So let me get these out of the way. It never fails. I usually spill them everywhere. I'm sure you're the same. Okay, so I'm using these beautiful John Bead 11OC bead dark gold metallic soul gel. They are lovely. They're kind of like my favorite go-to for an elegant gold color. So I like to do that on the end of my clasp to make it look elegant and part of the clasp. So now we're going to use the same needle we had. I went ahead, so I was using white thread for that. Once I got done, I took my thread while it was on there and I just colored it with the yellow Sharpie using my piece of cardboard. And now you can see, like, you don't see any white threads on that. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to start with a tubular chenille pattern. I think I need to cut this. I don't know if that's going to go through the needle. Oh, I was almost there. Let me see if I can flatten this a bit. There we go. Okay. So we're just going to go ahead and add, we're in the position to add 15 O's. So let's go ahead and do that. Go through here. So this one might be a bit tighter because when I was starting out, my tension was pretty tight. So let's just put that in there. Did I go through that? Sometimes you go through the thread by accident. There we go. Okay. I'm going to move it out of the way so that doesn't happen again. So we're going to go. So we're basically doing the 15 O row. Yeah, I was very tight on this. There we go. That in there. Okay. Next one. This one looks like it'll be a bit easier. Famous lost words. And my needle's bending. Ow! There. No worries, it'll all come out in the wash. Okay, so we're going to go through the 2 11-0s, and if we can, we'll go through the 15-0, but I think we're going to have to do a second pass. Yeah, no big. So just remember when you're starting to maybe leave it a bit loose. Okay, I'm going to go through this 15. Okay, so now we're going to start using our 11-0 gold beads. Oh, look at this with the holes like massive on one side. Okay, so we pick up 2 11-0s. We're going to go through the 15. That. 2 11-0s, go through the 15. Oh, these beads are weird. I don't know. I may have mixed some beads up. It's yeah, that happens. One time I poured some beads, like quite a few beads, back in a bottle, and then when I looked at the bottle, there's like this hue of different color. Like, oh, I put it in the wrong bottle. Not one of my best moments. So there's our 11-0 seed beads. We went through this 15-0 here, and we stepped up to this 11-0 here. So now we're going to do a row of 15s again. So pick up your 15-0. You're going to scoop the next bead and the first one in the next set of 2. It's going to start looking like tubular chenille right now. It doesn't look like much because it's different color from the beads below. So keep going through 2 of the 11-0s. Now this one's going to be our final one for this row. We're going to go through the 2 11-0s and through the first 15 that we added. Like that. Now we're going to just get a double check. So we're going to add another set of 11-0s. So 2 11-0. You're going to go through the next 15-0. That. 2 11-0s. Go through the next 15-0. Pick up 2 11-0s. Go through the next 15-0. That. And you don't have to pull hard for this. Just enough to sit them where you want them. 2 11-0s. We're going to go through. It's hard to see it on the video here. This bead here is the 15-0, and we're going to angle it through the next 11-0. Like that. And let me double check when I started my. Okay, I did one more 15-0 row, and then we're going to start our herringbone. So you got your 15-0. You're going to put it between these 2 beads. So you're going to pick up that bead and go through the next one. And go around your next 15-0. Go through the next 2 11-0s. 15-0. So you're going to come out of this one. You're going to go through this bead and this one. We're set for our next 15-0. So let's go through these 2 11-0s and then through the 15-0 at the beginning of that. I think I may have done this a little tighter. So just, pay attention to your. Oh no, looks the same. Attention. Super easy. So now what we are going to do is basically the same as we did before. We're going to put 2 beads in between each of those 15s, but when we're done that, we're going to start using those 2 beads as the base of your herringbone. So pick up 2, go through the 15-0, pick up 2 11-0s, pick up 2 11-0s, go through the 15-0, 2 11-0s, go through the 15-0, and now you're going to go through the 11-0, and we're going to start our herringbone. So now, just like herringbone, we're going to put 2 beads in between those 2. So let's pick up our 2 11-0s. Okay. You're coming out of this. I want to make sure you can see this. You're coming out of this bead. We're going to go into the next one, but we're going to scoop up the one beside it. And where our needle goes through here, this area here, is going to be the bridge that pulls everything together in herringbone. So I'll just continue. And you see how it sits. They sit nicely on top of each other. So pick up 2 11-0s. Go through, you're coming out of this bead. You're going to go through this one and through the next one to create that bridge. Okay, so you see, pick up 2 11-0s. We are coming out of this bead. We're going to go into this one and we're going to pass our needle through this one like this. Like that. And this, get them to sit so that they're, but you can see how it's starting to create that herringbone stitch. So pick up 2, coming out of this bead, go through this bead. So now we're going to go through to the next bead on the bottom, but what we want to do is angle our needle up so it passes that first bead and then that second bead. And we're going to add like that. Make sure those are sitting. There we go. We're ready to continue the herringbone. Let me count how many we did of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I had to say this 5th row, I don't count the 5th row because we're going to put this clasp kind of inset and then we're going to close it up by putting a row of herringbone. So I just kind of figured this way of doing it right just before I did the video. So yeah, it's a little different, but anyway. So we do 4 rows. We've got 2 there, so let's do 2 more. Pick up 2. Coming out of that bead, we're going to go through this bead. And now we're going to go to the bead next to it. And again, where our needle is passing through is going to create a thread bridge that's going to pull the herringbone together. There, like that. Doesn't look like much right now, but it will. 2 beads coming out of this one, going through this one, and then hook into the next set of beads. That. I don't know why they're so, I guess there's like not enough space here, so it'll eventually come together. Pick up 2 11-0s. Coming out of this bead, we're going to go through this one, and we're going to go through that next one in the next row. Make sure your beads are sitting there, like that. There we go. Okay. So you can kind of see what we're doing here. My bead mats all over the place. pick up 2. Coming out of this bead here, we're going to go into this one. Now this is this one here is the first one we did. So it may look a bit confusing. You may want to go through that top bead, but you remember we have to close off this bottom section. So you're always going to be 1 down at the closing part. So actually, let's do it in 2 pieces here. So let's get our beads in position, get them sitting there. Okay, so we want to go through these 2 here. Get my needle in here. There we go. So we want to make sure we have that closing spot in between those 2 rows. Let's count how much we have. We have 3, so 1 more row, and then we'll close this up. So pick up 2, like that. Coming out of this one, go into this one, and go to your neighbor. Shake your neighbor's hand. Say thank you very much for the sugar. I have to tell you a story. I was visiting a friend's mother. They live on Cape Sable Island, and island life is so different than normal life. Everybody's interconnected somehow, and you count on everybody. Okay, your next 2 coming out of this bead, we're going to go through this one, and we're going to go through the next one like that. So we get there, me and my friend, and we saw this lady standing out on her front step, and she's saying hello and stuff. We get in the house, and his mother says, "Oh, it won't be long. She'll be over here asking for sugar." She says, she makes so many cakes. She's always coming to borrow sugar. And within minutes, she was at the door knocking. "Who's this? Who's coming to visit?" It was so funny. Oh, I come from a big city, so like sometimes big city is opposite, where nobody talks to each other. It's like, don't even make eye contact. They're like, nope. Who's visiting who? So this is the last one. So I've got my 2 beads coming out of this bead. I'm going to go into this one. And remember, you're 2 down from the end because we added 1 at the beginning. So we have to go around and close that final one. So you can see I just pulled it and it's already starting to, you can kind of squinch it together as you're pulling and it'll close it up a bit. So now just go over to the next bead without adding anything and just go down 1 bead and go into the next row. And you're going to do that all the way around. And you see how already it's closing it up. So go down the next one, up through the 2, like that. Go down 1, up through the next bead on the next row, like that. Go down the 1. I'm just looking. Oh, my eyes are. This looks like it crossed somehow. So I think what we'll do is we'll go down to here. I don't know what I did there. Let's just go down 1. And pick up the next one. You can always go up and down these to straighten them out if you're concerned. So let's do that. I'm going to go down to all the way around just to reinforce this. So then go up these 2. Let's go down. It stops those top beads from popping sideways too, just to give it a nice little finish. Because you see it's gone sideways here. The holes on the side, it should be straight up and down. So we'll fix that by doing this. So come up the second bead, below it, and then up. And now it's straightened out. Go down. The 2. There. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add a 8/0 seed bead in between here. We're actually going to need 2 8/0s. So we're going to take the first one like that, and we're going to just go straight across. So there's 4. Let's do it this way. Go across to the other side like this. And it's going to set it down in there, which is fine. That's what we want. So you're coming out of the other side of that bead that you attached it to. So you're going to go back through the 8/0, pull it tight. Now, initially the thread went through this side of this bead. We're going to go to the other side of the bead, like that. Okay. So now that's pretty secure in there. That's not moving. We are going to go through that bead. Oops. Like that. And now we're going to pick up the second 8/0. We're going to go to the other side. And we're going to attach it this way. We're going to do this a few times because this is going to be where the clasp is going to attach to. So let me just make sure that's in there. So then I'm going to pull this through here. Okay, so I did it 3 times just to make sure. Let's get this crimp cover bead. So we're going to do like that, and we're going to close it. So I'm going to use these pliers. These seem to work pretty good for this. So just what I did too on the other side, and it seemed to work, is I kept the thread where this kind of side opening is. So I think that's probably the best way to do it. So then you just close it like that. And there you go. That's on there. Okay, so this is what I was saying. You can see how the first 8/0 that we added wants to kind of pop out. So you're going to take your thread and you're going to go down and you're going to add another row of herringbone. So let me find there's one. So go down this one. And go across. Did I do that? No, I don't think I did that right. Here, let's do it in the other direction. So let's go this way. So now we're going to add 2 11/0s to this side, to this set of herringbone. So you're coming through this bead here. You see, make sure you can see it. If you're coming through this one, you're going to go through this one and on an angle through the next one. And it should set those in nicely there. Make sure this is, yep, there. Pick up 2 11-0. Go coming out of this bead, going to go through this one. Make sure they're sitting flat. Why is this one all turned? There. Pick up 2 11-0s. Coming out of this bead, go into this one and through the next one. Pick up 2, go through the next one, and I will come up the other side. There, like that. So now we're going to go up through this one and go up through the, might have to do this in 2 goes. Up like that. Up like that. This was the first one. It's not behaving. It's because the bead is off to an angle. That's why. There we go. Go up to that. Now, what we can do, because they're all positioned properly, we're just going to go through one bead and through the next one. That's going to give us our... No, actually, I think we should go down to... It looks like it needs to sit straight. There. This is what happens when you're designing on the fly. This is just, remember, if stuff like this frustrates you, this is not the video for you. I do this as a hobby, so I don't really, there's people out there that do this as a business, so they spend a lot of time. As it is, I spend a lot of time doing it too, but I don't stress over the little stuff. And if that bothers you, then it might be a good idea to try something else. I won't be offended. There. Let's go through. Now I'm just doing the one bead so that it closes that up. So you see how there's an opening there? If you just go down the one bead and then across to the next bead, should pull it in tight. And the same with this one. Bit of a hole there. Go through that one. There. And look at how lovely that is. Oh, that's like, I just think that's so lovely. Okay, so let's tie this off. I'm just going to go down. I'm going to go down 3 beads. There. And bring this around here. We'll create a thread bridge. 1, 2. Pull it in tight. Pull that through. There. And then go down a few more beads. That's it. Cut that off. Let's move these out of the way so you can see this lovely bracelet. And that's how it's hooked. Let me bring this in a bit. Now, I have this open quite a bit. They don't, you don't need them open, and they're pretty easy to close up. So you can do it like that. There, hooks on. And there is your lovely bracelet. Let's see how it looks on. In case you're wondering, I've been away for a few days. I had a cardiac catheterization done for the chest pain that I've been having. And so far they couldn't find anything. So they have to send me for some other tests, but that's what that is. That's where they went in with the catheter. But so there you go. It's lovely. This is I made this 7.5 inch. Let me double check. But there, it's a beautiful pattern. Get my mandrel. Well, that's showing 8, but you know what? For 7.5 inch, it would be a little bit dangly. So definitely pay attention to your, I didn't know who I was making these for, so I just kind of, and I got going. I couldn't stop. So here's the one with the red. There's the one that we worked on with the red. There we go. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you in the next video. I have so much more to do. So we'll see you then. Bye.